Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating intersection of history and science by diving into a profound 5,000-year-old framework for human optimization, yoga. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yoga is literally everywhere these days, but as we're about to see, it is far deeper, far richer, and way more scientifically structured than what the mainstream gym narrative might have you believe. To truly wrap our heads around this expansive topic, we'll map out our journey across 5 key areas. Beyond just physical exercise, a 5,000-year history, traditional schools of yoga, the 5 layers of existence, and finally, the path to holistic health. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Beyond Just Physical Exercise. If you scroll through your feed or walk into pretty much any modern gym today, you'd absolutely think yoga is just asana. You know, a trendy workout involving lots of stretching, core strength, and maybe an overpriced green juice or expensive leggings. It's aggressively marketed strictly as a physical fitness routine. But there's a massive gap between what the masses think and the ancient reality. On one hand, we have the modern notion of it being just a series of exercises. But the original reality? It's an entire holistic lifestyle aimed at nothing short of total enlightenment and freedom from suffering. The physical postures we sweat through today are literally just one single limb of a much, much larger system. In fact, the ancient texts actually pinpoint ignorance as the root cause of human suffering, and this entire system was engineered to overcome exactly that. To really get what this is all about, we have to look at the word itself. Yoga comes from the Sanskrit root yuj, which literally means to join, to yoke, or to unite. According to ancient scriptures, the ultimate practice of yoga is all about uniting your individual consciousness with the universal consciousness. It's about forging a perfect harmony between your body and mind, your thoughts and actions, and between humanity and nature. Which brings us to Section 2, a 5,000-year history. This practice didn't just pop up out of nowhere. We're talking thousands of years of evolution, starting way back in the pre-Vedic Indus Valley civilization around 3000 BC. From there, it evolves through Patanjali's famous sutras in 500 BC, shifts into the post-classical period where Hatha Yoga really popularized physical rejuvenation, and moves through the modern period right up to 2014, when the UN officially established the International Day of Yoga. And get this, we actually have the hard, archaeological proof to back that timeline up. These soapstone seals excavated from the Indus Valley civilization were carved over 5,000 years ago, and they clearly depict figures seated in perfect yogic postures. It just goes to show that yoga has been catering to the material and spiritual upliftment of humanity since the very cradle of civilization. Moving right along to Section 3, Traditional Schools of Yoga. People often get a little confused here and think these different schools are competing factions. But they're definitely not. They're just diverse pathways tailored to different human personalities. If you're a highly intellectual person, Jnana Yoga offers the path of wisdom. Driven by duty, Karma Yoga focuses on selfless action to overcome the ego. If you need strict structure, there's Patanjali Yoga for deep mind management. Or if you're a deeply emotional person, Bhakti Yoga uses unconditional devotion to channel those emotions positively. Let's zoom in a bit on Patanjali Yoga, famously known as the 8-limbed Ashtanga path. Notice where the physical postures, the asanas, actually sit. They're only step 3. Before you even unroll a yoga mat, you've got social restraints and personal observances to master. And after the physical postures, you move into breath regulation, withdrawing the senses, concentration, meditation, and finally, samadhi, which is pure enlightenment. It is an incredibly systematic, step-by-step journey inward. All right, let's dive into Section 4, the 5 layers of existence. Ancient texts describe human anatomy way beyond just basic flesh and bone. They talk about 5 distinct layers, or kosas, that essentially act as sheaths covering your true self. According to this framework, you are made up of a physical body, an energy body, a mental body, an intellectual wisdom body, and finally, at your very core, a blissful body. It's exactly like peeling an onion. On the outside, you have the Annamaya kosa, the structural food body made of the physical elements we consume. That's the layer physical postures target. Go 1 layer deeper, and you hit the Pranamaya kosa, your energy and breath. Deeper still is the Manomaya kosa, your mental sheath of thoughts and emotions. Pierce right through that, and you're in the Vijnanamaya kosa, the intellectual wisdom layer. Finally, at the very center of your existence is the Anandamaya kosa, the innermost bliss body. Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, the path to holistic health.
Because yoga actively engages every single one of those layers, it essentially acts as a massive holistic health insurance policy. It's working on multiple planes all at once. Physically, it establishes homeostasis and eliminates toxins. Emotionally, it literally conditions your nervous system to effectively manage stress and anxiety. Socially, it builds ethical values to improve your interpersonal relationships. And spiritually, meditation helps you realize your true self. It covers the whole shebang. The mechanism behind this is wonderfully simple, yet incredibly powerful. By practicing physical and breathing techniques, you fundamentally balance your endocrinal and nervous systems. That biological balance gives you incredible control over your mind and body. The result? A profound state of calmness that ultimately yields complete health and total harmony. This absolute stabilizing power is exactly why the global community has fully embraced it. UNESCO actually inscribed yoga as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity, calling it a true panacea, a universal remedy for a meaningful life. Because of its intense orientation toward comprehensive health, it's an incredibly unifying force in an often chaotic world. So now that you know yoga is way, way more than just touching your toes in a gym, that it's this brilliant 5,000-year-old framework for the human spirit, the real question is, how are you going to use it? Which of these ancient pathways will you choose to finally unite your mind, body, and actions to completely optimize your own existence? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll leave you to chew on that thought. Catch you next time.